Hey guys, it's Miss Gordon, and this video will discuss my expectations for your self-introductory speech assignment. So the purpose of this speech is for you to introduce yourself, for you to tell us about your life. It will be between 2 to 3 minutes long, so no longer than 3 minutes. And it's important for you to remember this because you won't be discussing every single detail about your life. You need to keep it within this time constraint. You will be delivering this speech extemporaneously. So, extemporaneous delivery does not mean you will have a transcript of the speech in front of you and you're simply reading it out loud. It does not mean you're going to stand up and deliver the speech from memory. You will have between 2 to 3 index cards that are this size, and on the index cards, you will write keywords that will guide you throughout the speech. The definition of extemporaneous delivery is in one of your PowerPoint presentations that is posted, but essentially you will just have these index cards and you'll be standing up and you'll be speaking. It won't be off the cuff because you will be preparing for this before you actually deliver it, but you won't be reciting it from memory. You won't be using PowerPoint presentations or posters. This is strictly extemporaneous. You also have the option to use visual aids. Now this is optional, but a visual aid is an object or objects that only enhances what you're actually saying. So for example, if you're doing your speech about music and how music means a lot to you, you may have headphones or a CD or a signed t-shirt from an artist that you like as a use of a visual aid. So you will be referencing the visual aid while you're delivering your speech. So like I said, this is optional, but I strongly suggest that you use it because it will help enhance your whatever you're saying out your mouth. So to decide how you're going to actually introduce yourself, there are several directions that you can take, and I have listed all of these in the instructions. So you can choose a geographic location, so that means like a city or a state or some type of place in the world that has had an impact in your life. You can choose an important person that means a lot to you, like a family member or a friend, and discuss how that person's influence on you as a way to introduce yourself. You can choose a career, so if the occupation that you have that you're very passionate about, you can discuss that during your speech. You can also discuss an activity, like a hobby or a talent or a sport that you play. If you have some type of goal that you really want to obtain, you can talk about that during your speech. If you have some values that are very specific to your culture or your religion or some type of belief system, you can talk about that. Or you can talk about an experience. So something that has happened in your life that you want to discuss during your speech, you can also do that. Now, I will say that you do not have to get really, really personal when you're delivering your speech and you're deciding what you want to talk about. Only discuss what you're comfortable with discussing. Now, in the past, students have like really reveal a lot of personal information about their lives, but I'm saying you do not have to do that if you don't want to. You choose the content of the speech and the direction that you want to take, but you do not have to tell us all of your business. You do not have to get personal if you choose not to do so. So there are variations of the directions that I've posted, that the way you can do this. So some students might choose an object and use that as a metaphor for their lives. So for example, this is my master's degree, right? So I might use this during my self-introductory speech and discuss how this master's degree represents a time in my life where I was putting my blood, sweat, and tears in obtaining it. Or this master's degree represents the most single accomplishment that I'm very proud of in my life, right? So you can use an object and discuss how this has had an impact on you, how it represents this time in your life, how it represents this person in your life, whatever the case may be. You can use your object as the focal point of your speech. Another thing you can do is you can use a certain theme for your speech. So for example, say you love books. You may just talk about books in your speech, how the authors that you like, how you want to write a book one day, things of that nature. So you can have a certain very specific thing that you want to talk about, and you can use that to structure your speech. You can also use an acronym or a description. So for example, let's say your name is John and you want to have a word that represents each letter of your name. So the J may stand for joy. The O may stand for optimism. And you can break down how each letter or each word represents a certain part of your life. That's an option for you. Other students have used the word mother and talk about how motherhood means a lot for them or their mother was very impactful in their life. You can do that as well. So these ways are optional. You do not have to do it these ways at all, but it's an option for you if you want to stick to something very specific while you're structuring your speech. So, your self introductory speech, like all speeches, has three parts that are very important. You have your introduction, you have your body, and your conclusion. So, when you're planning on what you're going to talk about and you're planning the speech itself, it's important that you have all three of these parts. And I'm going to go over which each of these parts entails. So, your introduction will have two things it will have an attention getter, and it will have a preview of what you're going to discuss in the body of your speech. So when you're starting your speech, you won't just stand up and just say, hello, good afternoon. It's not a simple greeting. You need what's called an attention getter. So attention getter can be a quote, it could be a Bible verse, a saying that means a lot to you. It can be some type of brief story that you can describe or a memory that you have. It can be a startling statement or a statistic, whatever it is, but it needs to capture the attention of the audience. This is going to be the first thing that comes out of your mouth because you need to make sure that your audience is engaged for what you're about to say. Next, after you capture the attention of the audience, you need to preview what's to come. So you might have a brief statement that is like a trailer to what it is you're about to say in the body of your speech. So this is the introduction, the first part. The second part of your speech is the body. So this is what I call like the meat and potatoes of your speech. So when you decide what direction you want to go in, this is where all of it will lie in. So this is when you'll introduce your visual aids. You'll describe in detail things about your life. This is where you'll actually introduce yourself. This is the longest part of your speech. So you need to make sure that whatever it is you want to say, it goes into this body, and to make sure that doesn't overcome the time constraint that you have. The last part of your speech is the conclusion. Now, the conclusion will probably be about 20 to 30 seconds, and you will recap what it is that you discussed in your body. So you might be saying, this is why this is what influenced you in my life, something like that. Just a brief statement, and then you will end it impactfully. So a lot of students, they make the mistake of just ending their speech by saying, that's it, I'm done. You don't want to do that. You want to have some type of impact ending. So that could again be a quote, it could be a story, it could be a memory, whatever it is, you need to make sure you end it on a strong note. So to reiterate, your self-introductory speech is between 2 to 3 minutes long. You will have several directions that you can take. You just need to make sure that it has an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. You need to make sure that in your introduction you have an attention getter to capture the attention of the audience. You need to make sure that your conclusion, you end it on an impact note. So what's also due is your self-introductory speech outline. And in this outline, I have the directions posted. It's essentially where you just indicate what direction you want to go in. So you're saying if you want to choose to talk about an important person, if you want to choose to talk about an experience, whatever, you'll let me know what that is. You'll indicate what type of attention getter you're going to use. So indicate if you're going to use a quote or a brief story or whatever. Then you will indicate what your key points will be. That's the body of your paper. So indicate how you're going to use your objects or how you plan on introducing yourself. And then your conclusion, you're going to indicate how you plan on ending it. So that's what I'm looking for in your outline. But if you have any questions, you can email me at kabrunic.gordon@scou.edu, and I'm happy to help you. Bye, y'all.